Hello and welcome to the Happiness Is podcast with me, your host, Bruce Aitchison from Happiness Egg Shaped, and we are back, and I am delighted with this one. We've been talking for a while. We've finally got time where the two of us can sit down for a bit of time to have a chat about life and love and that game of rugby too. I've not known him for a long time, but I've got to know him very recently. We talk a lot, we bump into each other, and I really like everything that he's got going on, and he's learned a lot along the way. So let's hear all about his journey and welcome the one and the only Mr. Adam Sinclair. Hello, sir. Good to see you.
How you doing, Bruce? How you getting on?
Yeah, good. Thank you. We're recording on a Friday, so happy Friday. We're almost there.
Yeah, this has been a long week. Actually, I don't know where it's went, to be honest, but yeah, we're here, and it's nearly the weekend.
Yeah, you're a busy man. Now, as I was saying there, I've not known you for long, but I feel like I'm getting to know you pretty well. Take us back to Adam Sinclair, family, growing up, and why rugby was the game you got into.
So grew up in Bannockburn, Stirling, which isn't really a rugby place. It's more boxing and football. But my dad, he's from the Borders, from Duns originally, and my other side of all that family are all from down that way, and we still got the family in Jedburgh. So obviously, when my gran knows more about rugby than I do, then you know that you're going to be into it. So yeah. Obviously, I was taken down the Stirling County Rugby Club at like 9 years old, and just fell in love with it. Just the whole part of it, and kind of the camaraderie, and the fact that you could kind of hit people as hard as you can legally. And I won't say too much there, but yeah.
I can see those two things marrying up. Big physical kid, but sociable, always want to blether, make connections, meet new people.
Yeah, I was just absorbing everybody. Obviously, there's kids from all different schools, and you're down there. You just it was brilliant. I loved every part of it, and I look back and like going to the coffee shop I had there was basically on the bit where I first put my first boots on, and like for everything it's given me in terms of setting me up for life. And rugby's done. I wouldn't have anything I've got now if it wasn't for rugby.
And when you started playing, you were obviously just doing what kids do, going, being with pals, meeting new pals, playing a game. When did you start to take the game seriously?
Well, I took a bit more serious. But yeah, I probably took a bit more serious when I was about 14, 15, when you start doing your inter-districts and selections for that. And I realised that this is what I love and this is what I really enjoy doing. So probably about there, 14, 15 is kind of where you start. Well, I want to hopefully be a rugby player one day, like every little boy does, and little girl. So yeah, probably around about then.
And what did that look like? So did you start doing training on your own? Did you start doing skills on your own, or was that not really a thing?
Yeah, I did, to be honest. I started training on my own, really. Like, I wasn't at a private school at the time, and just at Bannockburn, so there was no rugby there, no extra rugby. It was all football and stuff. So I only training I'd get would be at Stirling County on a Tuesday or a Thursday and playing a Saturday. So I'd always go out and do extra speed or extra fitness, or my dad got me some things. I'd go and train on my own and do different things like that. And I'd go. Believe it or not, I used to go to like athletics and wanted to get faster. I don't know how much it helped, but yeah. So yeah, no, it was about the focus was the main thing, you know.
Who were you looking up to? Who were the heroes? Was it people that you were watching on TV, or was it people at the club?
So it was. I was on like my heroes were like probably Ali Hogg or something, because he was from Stirling County at the time, and I played back row and kind of like Simon Taylor at that era, and I'd probably say like Nathan Hines. So these type of guys you're watching, definitely Nathan Hines, and then further afield like watching South Africa, like Backy's both. So I quite liked the way he played, even though some people might not agree. I quite enjoyed that.
So you start playing. You're playing at Bannockburn. You're living in Bannockburn. You're playing at Stirling County, and then you end up getting an opportunity that you probably didn't even know was a thing.
Yeah, like you're getting opportunities in terms of like.
So you're playing rugby. You're doing well. You're making a bit of name for yourself, and then a school comes along and says, or how did it work? Were you applying for things? Were you looking for things? Were people speaking to you? How did that opportunity come about?
Yeah, so basically, it was at Stirling County. You're doing the district stuff, and then I used to slag my mates off that used to go to Dollar, and like there was like me, Jimmy Batty, Adam Ash, different guys, were the Uri boys, and so the state school boys, and you had the boys who went to Dollar. So I used to kind of get stuck into them and in their posh blazers, and then Loreto asked me if I wanted to go there, and I never really heard of Loreto, but they were a really good school, and went for a tour, and I thought, went with my dad and thought this would be a really good opportunity, and they gave me a part scholarship, and then went there, and I loved. There was a South African coach there at the time, Danny Rousseau, which I've got a lot to thank him for, because when I got there, and he really spent a lot of time with me, extra training, and really brought me on and gave me a lot of confidence, and probably confidence, and I would never have got if it wasn't for him. And he was kind of the one that then got me to South Africa as well. So to Western Province Academy, which on the back of that is why now all these kids go to Western Province now for the scholarship. So yeah, it was pretty cool. Looking back, so no, it was amazing.
That strikes me as being a big deal, because Bannockburn's pretty far away from the world of Loreto. It's pretty far away even from just getting there. But you sounded like you were the one that was motivated by it. It wasn't parent or school, or you could see the opportunity in front of you.
Yeah, so basically, I could see when I went there, I knew the contacts from what I had to do to better myself. And it wasn't to say that going to a private school makes you better, but I definitely think it gives you another kind of chink in your armour on how to speak to people and there. So, like, to paint a picture, like, I was fighting on the Friday night in Bannockburn, and then on the Monday morning I was in Chapel in Loreto in a tweed jacket and kilt. So you couldn't be too further worlds apart, you know. And that's the truth and honesty about it. But what it did do for me was it enabled me to be able to speak to people from both sides of the coin, you know. And just because you go to private school doesn't mean that you're arrogant and you're posh, and just because you go to state school doesn't mean that you're a scumbag. You know, you're a good person. You're a good person. It doesn't matter what accent you've got. You know, so that's what it really done for me.
And the rugby opportunity meant more time on task, getting that sort of individual tuition, I suppose, for how to make your game better. And you must have been playing at probably a consistently high level, week in, week out.
Yeah, like I'd be training at Loreto every day and go to the gym every morning. They had a strength conditioner they brought from South Africa that I could go to the gym every morning if I wanted to. And I remember going to the cafeteria and even things like food, like when I was at Barnet, when you get a hot dog and some major delight, that was your lot. And then I went to Loreto and they got a different roast on every morning, every afternoon, sorry, and as much food. And I used to remember going to dinner ladies saying, "Look, what can I have?" And they said, "You can have as much as you want." And I said, "Well, anything." And they went, "Yeah, you can come back as many times as you want, Adam." And I thought, I'm going to really like it here, aren't I? So it was pretty good. And I remember, because we were always late at training, coming in, all the good stuff was ordered away. I used to get the dinner ladies. Got all their names and got them birthday cards in advance, and then so they'd keep me food back, the good stuff back, and the boys used to always go, how are they always getting a plate for you? And I always thought, well, maybe that's the Bannockburn side of me, you know, so a bit more streetwise. So yeah, no, I really enjoyed it, and the people were great with me, you know. So I've got, like, Loreto were great with me, so I loved it.
I love that. That's a class story. And then, so he became a mentor, somebody that, you know, a role model for you, somebody that was putting a lot of time and energy into it. So he must have opened your eyes. If you're talking about an opportunity in South Africa, again, we're back to, you know, a wee lad for Bannockburn. All of a sudden, you're in an independent boarding school in Edinburgh, and then you've got a South African coach who's saying South Africa's an opportunity for you. Were you just saying yes to every opportunity that came along?
Yeah, I just said yes. I said, yeah, I didn't even know where Cape Town was, to be honest. I hadn't been further in Mallorca, so let alone down to Cape Town, and I didn't even know what Western Province was. And like, I just said yes, let's go. And he said these are the forms I've got to fill out. I know the head of sport, the head of the institute there, and the head of the academy, Jacques Hanekom. We did a call, and he says let's get you out there. And needed some money and different things, so didn't go to the end of year school ball, and I went for 4 weeks. I went labouring on a scaffolding site, some money, some spending money, and then and then my dad was thankful enough, paid for my flights, and off off I went. Yeah.
So what was Western Province? You're saying you didn't know what it was. What was it? What was the opportunity you were given?
You get there, you're training every day, you get a wee allowance, but the training, even looking back now, the places I went after that, there was nowhere like it. For every big lad like me, you're in like a big fish in a small pond at that age, there's another 8 of you out there. So you're automatically got to get better. And we do like things like strongman every morning at 7 o'clock. And if you're a minute late, you're just sent back to the institute. And like, I remember being there, and there's like just multiple Springboks now that are playing now that were there. And there's multiple guys that were better but just didn't go on. Like the talent there was was unbelievable. I remember walking into the gym one morning, and Henry Pollard was at Paul Roos where we trained, and even he was in the gym before us at 6. And that's just the mentality they had. And I remember Stephen Kitsoff was in my year and basically did all the testing, and they were like, literally, like, you go and train with under 21s. And then he got to the 21s and he just got sent straight up to the senior team. Like, there's kids at 18 squatting 220 kilos. You're just kind of like, it was amazing, yeah.
So how long were you there for? What was the plan when you landed? Did you have an end date in it, or was it just as long as it took?
I was there for the first season, and then they wanted me because I was a year young for another season. And then Tomas Allen, now he was there. He was invited in because his uncle John Allen was obviously like up at Natal, and his family are from there. So me and him were putting a room together, and we knew each other from Scotland in the 18s, and we just thought, right, we're in. We're either going to sink or swim here. So it was pretty good. But I liked it because it was a party town in Stellenbosch, and then you didn't know much about Stellenbosch, and you'll maybe know about rugby, but Stellenbosch is the biggest rugby club in the world. Like on a Saturday morning, there's 50 teams out playing because every institute had a team, and the university, they're just the factory of players was unbelievable. It was a right eye opener, and it was as a young rugby guy at 18. Like you'd finish your training during the day, but it was part of it that all the boys would go to the university at night to go and do like beach weights after doing all your strength conditioning, and it was just what they did. The South Africans did. Probably the boys were looking at a lot of girls as well, but like it was just the whole part of it, and eating biltong and braais and doing all this thing. If for me personally, if you want to really be in amongst it, that was the place to be. And I was very fortunate to be there. And I was meant to stay another year, but then obviously I went to France, but oh, it was unbelievable, Bruce. It was so good.
I love that, and I love the story that there's a whole load of Springboks who went, but there's people better than them that didn't make it. What did you see? What was the difference?
Well, the difference was that it really got down to the training. They trained the extras, did the extras, and bit by bit each day you could see them catching up. And so those guys that had the initial better talent, they suddenly became just as good. But then we start fading away, and you saw these guys coming through, just wanted it more. That training where that 20% really did make the difference. Like the guys like Ches and Kobe didn't even have boots, sponsored by Adidas, and he played scrum half because he was too small to play fullback, and tons of guys like that, but they just wanted it more, and I think it doesn't matter what part of the country or the world you're in, if you want it more and you're doing that extra bit each day, you'll get there.
You've talked a lot, and we'll get to this about what you're doing now and the things that you get up to and the people that you help and your principles and values. But did you realize at the time that you were learning hard work beats talent and dedication and discipline, did you realize that was happening to you, or were you just doing the job in front of you?
I think a part of it, I was just doing what the job was in front of me, and but I did realise, because I hadn't been in South Africa before, I was very lucky, and I knew this was a whole different ball game and different level, and part, but I was just going through the motions. I didn't really realise until maybe years later that that's what it was.
So you're rooming with Tommy Allen. You've had some age group stuff with Scotland. You're in South Africa on this, and then your next step. Like, were you planning life? Did you have an idea of where you wanted to get to and how you were going to do it? Because it sounds to me like you were working hard, being given opportunities. There wasn't much of a big plan.
No, school wasn't a thing for me, so it was never going to be anything academic. But no, I knew I'd always be fine. I always knew. I don't know what it was. It wasn't an area. I always knew I'd find a way. Or find a way doing something, and I knew if I worked really hard at it, I could be successful at something. But I was just going along with it as every other 18-year-old girl or boy would be doing. So, but suddenly I'm just getting all these opportunities, and I remember I couldn't even get a start at the Scotland under 18s, and then 8 months later, the development that happened with me in South Africa. And the size they got me to, and for training and stuff, came back, and you're playing under 20s starting a year early, but just because of that 6 months, it just showed that 6 months they put into you, that how by training and day in, day out, what that can do for you, So I was very lucky.
And there's a lot of kids who would probably be scared to go away because they'd feel like they're not under the noses of, their country or their district or whoever it is. Did that ever come into your head? Were you communicating with people back home about what you were doing and how you were doing it?
I wasn't really communicating with anybody. I think Scotland's such a small pool of players that you tend to know what other kids are up to. If there's an 18-year-old, 19-year-old away in South Africa, you're going to kind of want to know how's he getting on. So, it was Peter Wright, actually. He brought me back and wanted me back training, and kind of a look in, and then, cracked. To be fair to him, believed a lot in me, and he was quite good with me as well.
And then France comes along.
Yeah. Then I was playing the Under-20 World Cup, and it was actually in South Africa, and I was getting phone calls, and I thought it was the boys winding me up, and I kept hanging up, and then suddenly a South African agent showed up, hotel, wanting to speak to me, and said, "Look, I've got these 3 teams that want to sign you," and I thought, the hell. So Perpignan had won the top 14 in 2009, and I knew who they were because like Dan Carter and that had been there. So I actually chose them over. I think it was Montpellier who were just kind of coming up at that time, and who was the other one? It was too long, but they were just new to it as well. So I chose Perpignan and went there, and I was meant to stay in the Western Province for another year. But hindsight would I should have stayed a bit longer because it was better for my development. But I didn't know that at the time. Got home, saw my mum, and then packed my bags and moved to France, and could only say oui and bonjour and that, and then and a long way to go after that.
See, I find that whole period of your career mad, that at 17, 18, somebody says, right, let's go to South Africa, play rugby. Away you go. You then sound like you enjoy it, you make progress, and then because you've done that, another opportunity comes up. We want you to go to France. It's the most unconventional little period of time. There's not many other young players are getting those opportunities and taking them. When you end up in Perpignan, what was the demand? What was the expectation?
I rocked up there, and I remember walking into change rooms, and they're saying that like, that's your changing room there, that's your seat, and you'd have your name on the locker all around these big changing rooms. And at the time, it was like Henry Tuolangi and Luke Charteris, James Hook, Femi Maffei, Dali Martin. You're looking at all these names around the changing rooms, you're thinking, am I good enough to be here? That's your seat there. And you're kind of thinking to yourself, wow. But yeah, it was pretty good. And you just think, right, let's just crack on, get on with it, and get to training and learn, And I remember being a second row and only 107 kilos at the time, soaking wet. The second rows there were Vahamia and Talfinois, Charteris, Chiriwachu. I think it was like an article about them being the biggest second rows in the world. So he'd been a tackling squatter. Me just getting flipped out and ragdolled about. I thought, we're going to learn pretty hard here. Then Henry getting brought into your square to do tackling. You think, but he was called the chief, so he'd be like, no, we'll go slow here. So I remember like me like that, brace myself, and him just falling over you, and you're like, thank God.
That must be unreal. How do you because you would have watched them on TV, and now you're in a tackling square with them, you're sharing a changing room with them, you're becoming their colleague, their teammate. Did you have imposter syndrome, like you're saying? I'm looking around thinking, am I good enough to be here? How long did that last?
I think it lasted maybe a week, and but yeah, they became like, some of the guys became like, because I was the youngest in the team, kind of baby in the team, they looked after me. They kind of saw it like, this kid A can't speak French yet, and B's a long way from home. I better look after him. So a guy Kisi Pulu, who played for Tonga, and so he looked after me, and Henry looked after me. Like Guy Luke Narroway and Dan Leo, they looked after me. I'd always been invited to their houses for food. If I was misbehaving a night out, they used to get a phone call, and suddenly, if I was thrown out a nightclub, it was Henry Tuolangi, and they'd come and pick me up, throw me in the back of the car. And I remember I had to got locked in his house for the whole weekend, and I had to clean everything. And my phone taken off me, and I just have to clean everything. And there was like a pig. They used to do a pig on the weekend. We do it the stick. I had to turn it. I just remember sitting at the back of the garden turning this pig, learning the hard way. And I'd mix the cava for all the Islander boys, like things you'd never think. So there's obviously a big Islander community down there, and like yeah, I'd mix the cava for them and hand it all out and dish out and do the all, and then
It's class.
So yeah, you're learning all sorts.
And
from
those are
and Bannockburn to cava at the back of.
That's class. I love that. And how did the rugby go? Were you still progressing?
I was still progressing, but I was maybe having too much of a good time sometimes, and they were stuck in a mine. There was a guy, Mark Dale Pooks, at the time, and he was really pushing me forward. And he says, "Right, you're 6'6", we don't know if you're going to be a second row or a 7, but a 7 out there is a 6 because they do it back to front. So he decided, right, you're going to be a second row. So he was like, right, we need to get you bigger because it's France. So they gave me a card and I could eat at this restaurant whenever I wanted, as much as I want, for free, just to put size on. And there's a place called Crescendo, because I never forget it. And I would just go in there and eat as much as I could, but it was all the wrong stuff. It was chips and all sorts. They should have actually monitored me and restricted it to chicken only, but yeah, they got me up to like 24 kilos and just wanted you big out there. And then I wasn't training as hard, enjoying it too much, and I think that I was getting red and mostly red cards on the pitch, which the French like, but it wasn't really helping my game because you're off after 20 minutes. But no, it was I really probably after year 2 I was kind of had a lot of momentum and then really plateaued in terms of, because I wasn't putting enough training and time in as I normally and that's what probably made me where I am in business now, because I realised if you want to you're at that period in your life, you're 21, you've got to break through now, and I wasn't putting the right amount of training in.
And was anybody telling you that and you just weren't listening, or were people just letting you do what you did?
Yeah, people were. I remember Ali Strockosh, he was there at the time, and I remember him taking plates off me. He says, "You shouldn't be eating that, Adam. You should be eating this." And I remember thinking to myself, "Oh, come on, lighten up a bit." But he was just looking out for me, And he says, "You need to be eating more than that." He was like, "You should be eating better stuff," And he was just looking out for me, and other guys were looking out for me as well. They really wanted me to push on, and I remember going out to, I left Perpignan after 2 years, and a guy, Ugo Mola, who's now the Toulouse head coach, he signed me to go to Albi, because Albi were getting promoted back, trying to get promoted back to the top 14, and he wanted me to be a part of it. Just kind of looking for somebody probably looking to fight everybody on the pitch all the time. So that's usually how it goes, and they probably do. But yeah, and he had a good word with me as well, and said that, look, if you don't go further in rugby, it's not because of any coaches or anybody else's fault. It's all down to you, and it's not nobody else's fault apart from you. And that stayed with me even to now, because everything's on your doorstep to do it, and you've got all the tools and you've got everybody there. But if you don't do it, it's down to you. And he was right. So yeah, lots of great guys and great coaches that help you, but I didn't use them. I didn't use it, and I didn't train as hard as I should have.
And what was the ambition at the time? Was it just to play when you were at Perpignan? Was it to get in the first 15? Was it to play for Scotland? Or were you just, again, back to what I was saying before, were you just dealing with next week?
I was dealing with next week, and I think the second row was at the French had the 2 French second rows in the team, and Luke Chartis, the Welsh second row, and the Samoan captain, Dan Leo. So there's 4 world-class second rows in front to learn from. So, you'd be thrown in off the bench or some rubbish games or what were going on, but you're never going to get in front of these guys at that age. But great to learn from. But I always, like any other person, your ambition was to play for Scotland. But that was the ambition at the time. But then it changed.
And what happened next? So you leave Perpignan. What was the journey for the rest of the rugby career?
I went to Albi. Was doing okay at Albi. Got along really well with Ugo Mola. He was great with me. He really pushed me on. He actually said, "Look, if you should be a regular French top 14 there," he said. But then I was GIF, which is French qualified, which makes it easier because of the system they've got over there. So it would have been easier to get a contract because I was French qualified then. And that was the idea, to stay there. Then I really thought at the time there's younger second rows that came through now who are obviously much better and better players. but they didn't have a lot coming through at the time around my age, apart from Johnny and a couple of guys above. So I thought, well, I could get an opportunity. There's not really guys my size. So I asked if I could get transfer over to England. Went to London Irish. It didn't help that I beat up their captain on a Tuesday training session. I didn't know it was a captain and a stepping captain at the time, but the boys didn't like him anyway, so they thought I was one of the good ones. And then I was there, and they were in a bit of they were a bit in a regulate. They might be getting demoted that year, so they were a bit of financial baller as well. So then Andy Robinson knew me from when we used to go and train with the senior squad against him. He said come to Bristol because he was trying to get Bristol promoted to the Premiership at the time. So I went there, and it was really good. And again, same thing again. Put a lot of faith in me, really pushed me. Wanted to keep me for 2 years, and then I remember going out one night and getting pissed, and and kind of ruined it with him, and he's just really disappointed in me, and that's what happened. And the guy Sam Jeffries, who he didn't want to sign, he wanted to sign me, then signed with him, and because of that, and that lad's now played 150 games for Bristol, and he's been a great player. But what I'm realising here is I'm getting all these opportunities, but mucking them up. But that's what's helped me in business, and because I didn't realise at the time you're going to learn the hard way.
And you obviously, or not obviously, but it doesn't sound like there was a post-rugby plan. You were just dealing with what was going on, so you weren't really thinking much further ahead.
No, I wasn't. And then the agent I had at the time was like, right, go and play some rugby for Rotherham Championship regularly, go and do that, and then for the rest of the season, just go and play that out. And then I think I had an offer to go back up to Scotland, but I never went. And then I thought, right, I could go back to France and play in the second division, but I thought I'm going to set up a business, and I'm not really enjoying it. I've been to 4 clubs in the season. I'm going to take a year out. I'm going to play for Stirling County, and I'm going to set a business up. And that's what I did, and realised when I went into the business, and I didn't think I'd believe this, I was better at business than I was at rugby, but now, and at the time, but now looking back 9 years later, it wouldn't have been hard, so.
So what was the first business? What was the first idea?
I bought a removals van with no removals experience, and did my research, and I bought a removals van and started a removals company, and then moved kitchens and did different things like that, and then built it up, and then would buy another vehicle, and that's what I did. And somehow it's 20 trucks and vans now, and five different companies. So I don't know if that's really a good way of explaining it, but
why removals? Why was that the go-to?
I think from moving around the world, not around the world, but moving to South Africa, moving to France, I was quite interested in money always, and I used to look in what these companies were doing, what they were doing for it, and I worked out pretty quickly is that, right, I like graft, I like speaking to people, it's very different, and I thought, right, I could do that. So I'm quite one of those people that, right, just goes for it. I think that goes back to just moving to South Africa, just moving to France, just go to Loreto. Like there's a pattern there, and what I didn't realise at the time, and maybe even now, but I just go for things. Let's just do it. What have I got to lose? Like, still that young lad from Bannockburn who got a scholarship to Loreto. What have I got to lose? Nothing. So just go for it.
So you're embracing the emotion and the impulse and the sort of desire to try stuff. Have you got better at adding that to more strategic planning as well?
Yeah, I'd say so. When you've got 30 people working for you, you can't just go and make rash decisions. You've got to be calculated. But even now, though, in business, you've got to have that you've got to be fearless in a way. You've got to go for it. You've got to work on your gut sometimes, because if you don't go for that decision now and you think about it too much, that opportunity might go. Somebody else takes it. So you've got to go for it straight away. Like, I saw a site this morning, liked it, put the offer in. I know I can feel it. I know what I can do with it. I can see what needs to be done. And then that was it. And then I remember getting my first container, put money in it, second hand, making money out of that. And I thought, right, it's a good business. And then bought another one, kept investing money in. Now we've got about 600 outdoor containers and 700 indoor, and I don't even know how I got here still. But it's just you keep going, and you've just got to just go for it. And I always go back to, I always keep a picture of my granddad from Bannockburn, working class guy, and always get a picture of my phone to remember that where I come from, and never to forget that. And look, if you don't give it a shot or give it a try, then you don't want to be that guy just wondering what could have been, you know.
We spoke about this before, when you were playing club rugby. After games, the people that you'd go and speak to and mix with.
Yeah. So I always thought to myself that I'll say hi to the other guys I played against, but especially at rugby clubs, there's so many businessmen and women down there. I'd go and speak to them and introduce myself, and they'd be watching the game, so they kind of know who you are a wee bit. But I'd go and introduce myself, speak to them. What do you do? What do you do? And so on. And especially at some rugby clubs in Edinburgh, there's more influential businessmen there than there will be in Edinburgh after, because that's the club they're from. And suddenly, when you're going into business, there's doors open. I remember him. He came and spoke to me. He had a beer with me and a coffee with me. And yeah, I'm just openly going to do that, because that's what I did when I went from Bannockburn to Loreto, you know. And it really does open doors.
And the businesses that you've got going, and you mentioned it right at the start. There's a coffee container at Bridge Hawk at Stirling County. Pretty special, going back and putting something near the club and being part of the club.
Yeah, it meant a lot to me, because literally where it sits is where I first still remember putting my boots on and picking up my first rugby ball. And I think that's pretty special to go full circle. I played my last game for Stirling when I got injured. I started there, and I've started with business. So I suppose not everything's romantic in life, but as far as rugby goes, it's pretty nice. And when I did that container, I'd never been in coffee. I just went for it. People are, you know nothing about coffee. And I said, but I'll learn. I'll learn what the best coffee beans are. I'll know what the best machine is. I thought to myself, I was in Bristol playing down there, the container coffee place. It looked good, and set it up and glass, all fancy. That position, looking at Wallace Monument. I saw the vision for it and how it looked good, and then you're 3 months in and it's on Visit Scotland, and and then on coffee stops and Instagram page is one of the best coffee stops to go to. And I remember the world champion cycling was on there, and I don't know if you're into your cycling much, Bruce. I just got into it, you believe it or not, and they were all, the world championships was there, and so this guy was down for a coffee. It was Belgium. It was like Woodgarden or something like that. And then I went to pick up some stuff just to see how they were doing, and I went to say, "How you guys doing? How today? You're on holiday? Watch the cycling?" They were like, "Yeah, we're here with cycling." And says, "Okay, do you like cycling?" Like, yeah. I said, "I've just got into cycling myself." So I'd bought all the Rafa gear, like the pink top and the electric changer bikes, literally the definition of all the gear, no idea. And I was showing this guy my bike and how happy I was. He was like, "Yeah, that's good." And the guy that was working for me in the coffee shop and the girl, they were like, "Sinky, can you come over here?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm talking to this guy about my bike." And they were like, "No, can you come over here?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'll be here now." I went, "What is it?" And they were like, "See that guy you're talking to?" And I'm like, yeah, showing a picture of my bike. And they were like, "Yeah, look at this Instagram page." I'm like, "Who's that?" He's got 4.5 million followers. And then, "That guy that you're showing that bike to is the world championship cyclist." I said, now. And
Class.
I said, what have you been doing? I said, I've been showing him pictures of me in my Rafa top and my new bike. So I went back over to him. And I said to him, I'm really sorry, I didn't know who you were. And then he went, no, it's fine. He says, I think it's great that guys your size are trying to cycle. And I says, look, if you don't mind, will you mind sharing this on your story? This place? He went, yeah, of course I will. I've came here twice now. The coffee's amazing. So he shared on his story. Then all the cyclists from the tour were coming down. They were sharing it. Then all the fans were coming down. And then suddenly it went up. And then I didn't even know that the guitar had a cycling team, but they do. And yeah, so it just shows you from speaking to people and not taking yourself too serious. You never know what's there.
Class. I love it. That is magic. And what's the future hold? More business, more ideas.
Yeah, I've got a couple more things in the pipeline. I've got 3 more sites under offer for storage, removals. I might do another coffee shop. I'm designing an app at the minute. So that, I think that'll be the big thing. The app will be, if it goes right, will be the big thing. I've got a small home farm. I've got 20 sheep and lamb due in April. My granny from the borders just messaged me because she's a sheep farmer. Says you've not got an idea what you're doing. She's probably
I was
right.
going to say, who's doing the lambing? Are you doing the lambing?
Well, this is how it goes again. Talking about being impulsive, I got them all in lamb and got a lovely, bought a fancy Texel from Stirling Sales, and I counted back the days that he was on since November. I said to Amy, I says, yeah, they'll be juiced at April, 8th April. She went, that's really good, Adam. That's when we're in South Africa at a wedding. And so I phoned the boy, look at the agriculture college is right next door, my next door neighbours, and they were like, yeah. They're like, Sinky, just bring them up to us. We'll have them at the same time if you're away. So yeah, Sinclair Sheep Enterprises is kicking off.
Off the flyer. That's
off the
class.
flyer. I'm not even there.
And what does rugby look like for you now?
I don't really have much to do with rugby anymore. Quite a few people have actually asked me to do some coaching, which I'm quite surprised at. I don't even think I know the rules. I didn't know the rules in the first place. But I just enjoy watching it and enjoying it. I really want to help kids out and get into it. Obviously, trying to support a lot of schools, and I was speaking to someone. In the next 10 years, I want to make sure that every state school has got a set of rugby balls. I've done 15 schools in Stirling, and I've said, look, I'll do more. They just tell me when they've got the resources to do it. So my big thing is that, look, my part of rugby, I don't want to be a coach, don't want to do any of that, but I want to see as many girls and boys playing rugby, just not to be professionals, but what they get out of the back of rugby, contacts, jobs, confidence, because at the end of the day, what I've got now is just because I went down to the local rugby club and played rugby. So that's my big thing, is I want to make sure that every kid, and I will, and if I say I'm going to do something, I'll do it. I'll make sure that every state school gets a set of rugby balls and they get access to it. That's what I'm going to do.
Class, I love it. Sinky, you're a busy man. You found some time in the middle of the day, because if you tried it at home, you'd have kids to look after and sheep to look after and other things to be getting on with, bike maybe to ride as well. So I really appreciate you finding time.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, Bruce. Great chatting to you, mate, as always. And yeah, I'll definitely be catching you soon for a pint or a bike cycle.
I'm not sure about that, but I'm not sure about the bike. You
I'm
might
not
be
either,
looking
mate.
good.
I'll get a flat tyre.
You're the man with the lycra. I'll let you get on with that. Cheers, pal. Great to see you. Look after yourself.
You too. Cheers, Bruce.
Class, love that. Rugby's given him a lot, but he said yes to things and got on with it. People you meet, opportunities you take, experiences you share and memories you make. What a story. Love it. And geez, he dropped some names in there as well, didn't he? There's a lot there. If you enjoyed it, you can catch it on Apple, Acast, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. You can watch on YouTube and Facebook. We'll be back soon with somebody else for the Happiness Is podcast. I've been your host, Bruce Aitchison from Happiness Egg Shaped. I look forward to speaking to you all soon. Look after yourself. Bye-bye.